Hi guys, Asmo here, and today I have for you a day one update for the Sentinel League. Let's get the elephant in the room out of the way first, which is the Arch Nemesis mods. A lot of people have been complaining about the Arch Nemesis mods because GGG have made them very difficult, which made the rare monsters very tough to kill for certain builds. Actually, they made them very tough to kill for everybody because they just scaled them very high, and so the same day they basically implemented a hotfix which nerfed a lot of these modifiers, made them much easier to kill and much more reasonable, and now they're gonna be tweaking and looking at the feedback and still adjusting them and trying to balance them better. I think a lot of people overreacted like crazy. The community have been overreacting as usual, and on Reddit and on streams you could see some really hilarious things. I was heisting because that was my strategy for the league start. I was just doing infinite heist, and I was not seeing any difficulties with that because the heist that I was doing was like below level 67, so I think the rare monsters don't get too many modifiers there, so they were like basically just like before, right? I didn't notice that many differences. I died maybe like 2 times in 4 hours doing heist, so a lot of people were complaining and dying, and I've seen some hilarious thing, like people completely inventing their own reality, like where they were dying to just hitting stuff with corrupting blood, dying to corrupting blood, and then crying, like raging about the mods. Well, this has nothing to do with the new mods, they just didn't have a bleed removal on their flask, for example, right? Or people actually like someone made a thread on Reddit that the early heist is in the worst state it has ever been. It's like unplayable. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's complete bullshit. There's nothing wrong with heist. I've been doing heist. I made like 6x in heist early on in the league. I had a great league start. Heist was amazing on my scuffed Rain of Arrows build that had like 0 investment in it. The only thing I had like Hrimsorrow that cost 1 chaos and like 2 4 links, and that's it. That's all I was doing there. So it was super easy for me, and other people were complaining, and I feel a lot of people who are like weaker players, basically noobs, and by noobs I don't mean new players, because I think new players will not have the comparison to see like, oh, this is much harder, this is much easier. New players will be like, okay, this is a difficult game, I died, what can I do, right? Just like new players do. But the players who are playing for 5 years and they're still shit at the game and they don't know what to do, how to fix their build, they're the ones that are the most vocal, the most complaining, and like taking all of these points that people are making. Like they hear a streamer say, oh yeah, the new Arch Nemesis mods are very difficult, and they're like, ha, that's why I can't progress. Like, no, you can't progress because you suck. The Arch Nemesis mods are difficult, but that doesn't stop players from progressing anyway, right? So people really need to have a better attitude and just look at what they can do and how they can adjust to the changes that are happening in the game, and then give constructive criticism to GGG. It's like, hey, these mobs are overtuned. Do you think you should nerf them? You know, and look at how much more HP they have, for example, than map bosses, right? And then GGG will fix that, as they did, right? They reacted like within few hours. They made changes and hotfixes and stuff, right? So they're clearly listening and watching. But people are overreacting like this is the end of the world. Like, holy shit. But anyway, let's talk about my strategy. My strategy was endless heist. I was heisting in contracts that were level 62, 63, and basically doing chaos recipe. For the chaos that I just picked up, and for the chaos that I dropped, I was buying exalts as early as I could, and in like, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours, I don't know for how long I was doing it, maybe a bit less, maybe a bit more, I made like about 6x. But the thing is, I haven't dropped anything worth more than 10 chaos. It was actually like insanely bad luck if I think about it now. Like I had insanely bad luck, and I still ended up the league start. Like on the first day I had like 6x to buy whatever the hell I wanted very early on. So the strategy is very good. Even if you get giga unlucky like I did, I still had currency. I just bought 2 inspired learnings to test them. I went to the maps, and turns out inspired learnings actually are not that good. The mods that you steal from the monsters, they're not consistent enough. They don't give you that much, and a lot of the stuff about these mods is like about countering the players. So by getting them, you're not really countering the mobs. You're not getting that much power from them. So I sold the inspired learnings, and I actually made 2x profit on that because I bought them with the divination cards, and then I sold them for a little bit of extra because they went up a little bit in price. So I basically made like 2x on that little experiment, right? So the rich get richer. And then I decided to just completely changed my build. I was starting with Rain of Arrows and I was doing heist with that, but then I decided, okay, I want to get something that can kill these rares and these essences from a bit of a distance, right? Because Rain of Arrows, you have to be a little bit too close because of how the AoE works, but something like Tornado Shot or Lightning Arrow can go further, right? So I decided to go for Tornado Shot. I think Lightning Arrow could be even better, but I went with Tornado Shot, and don't even ask me about the POB because my build is completely scaffed. It makes absolutely no sense except for like a couple good ideas that I had. So one good idea I guess that I had was to go for a Deadeye focal point, which is 75% increased effect of your marks. That means we basically are stacking mark effect on the tree, also getting like Culling Strike against marked enemies, more damage against marked enemies, and scaling the sniper's mark so that I can do as much damage as possible to rares. Rares are what you need to be targeting, so you definitely should be using mark on hit with whatever is appropriate mark for you, and just forget the curses, like forget the hexes, just make sure you're using some kind of a mark against rares and maximizing your DPS against those, and you're gonna have a much easier time. And I'm basically running on like 2 5 links. One has the Ballista Totem and one has the Tornado Shot, and they're basically they have Trinity, so it's based around Trinity. I have Fist to Lightning and converting the other like half of the Fist to Cold, and then GMP, Mirage Archer, and that's it. Yeah, so I'm basically running a very scuffed setup that is not doing much damage, but I'm doing fine because I'm just farming T9 maps, because that's all I need for the harvest to be able to craft anything, right? So if you do T9 maps, your harvest is going to be level 76, so it's going to be like available to craft basically any item, right? Like 86 and above item levels are possible to be crafted with level 76 crafts. So that's why I'm targeting that. I'm just doing essences, I'm doing harvest, and then I'm gonna be doing some beasts. I'm basically picking up the chance to get harvest in your maps, and then I'm using every single node that can block extra content, as well as stream of consciousness to boost the chance for content. So I'm getting harvest like every third map. I'm getting harvest, and then I'm putting essence on map device and just farming a ton of essences. And because of how strong the rares are, people are actually struggling with killing the essences, so there's not going to be that many of them on the market as fast as last league, for example, so they're going to be profitable for a little bit longer. So that's my plan. I'm crafting stuff with harvest, crafting basically every cluster jewel possible. I'm crafting some boots, some shields, some amulets, crafting some claws with essences as well, and that's basically going to be my plan. And when it comes to the Sentinel League is actually something that I personally did not interact with at all. I didn't even click a single Sentinel thing. My character doesn't have any Sentinels. I've never used them, not a single time. I didn't click a Sentinel cache. I don't even know what's in them. So basically, I'm not interacting with the league mechanic because I have so many other things that I would rather be doing. The league mechanic is not very appealing to me. It looks like micromanagement, something like that doesn't really fit the game in my opinion, right? And it's just not something that fits my playstyle, and it's probably very rewarding, and maybe later I'll be doing it, but right now I'm focusing on just getting crafting materials and crafting, and that's gonna be basically my strategy. So let me know, guys, what do you think about the league start? How did it go for you? What are you doing to deal with the super powerful rares? Are you just crying in the corner, or are you actually adapting and making your builds better? Thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.